Welcome to Red Tiger Chronicles. This is Sifu Paul Mason, owner of Red Tiger Martial Arts in Cincinnati, Ohio, and this podcast is to help some of the most extraordinary martial artists that walk among us tell us their stories.
Welcome to Red Tiger Chronicles. I'm Alex Wohl, the producer of this podcast, and today we have a little bit of a different episode for you. I am with my Sifu and mentor, Paul Mason, today to learn a little more about him. Sifu Paul Mason began training in 2008 under Master John Lambert of Ming's Martial Arts of Cincinnati. In 2008, he was Ming's Martial Arts Martial Artist of the Year. He also earned Level 1 in the Filipino system Balenta Walk. In 2012, he earned his first degree Black Sash in the Shaolin Wing Chun system. In 2017, he opened his club Red Tiger Martial Arts. In 2018, he earned his second degree Black Sash in Shaolin Wing Chun. In 2020, in an attempt to keep his immunocompromised family safe from the COVID-19 virus, he parted ways with the Ming's organization and ceased martial arts instruction. At the urging of dedicated students, such as myself, he later decided to resume teaching martial arts independently under the Red Tiger name. He is a certified Sanda skill set instructor, a certified Bat Jam Dao instructor, a certified Siu Nim Tao instructor, CPD accreditation group fitness trainer and cognitive behavior life coach certified, and a certified yoga teacher. He has coached several students at various martial arts competitions. He has been married to my CMO, Becky Mason, who is also an instructor-level martial artist in the Shaolin Wing Chun system for 19 years. So I want to start just by asking, why do this podcast? What do you hope to garner from this podcast for both yourself and the martial arts community as a whole?
Good question. This all started really back when we had lockdowns during COVID and I had ceased the martial arts activity, and I would still visit my Sifu from time to time, and just listening to him and a lot of the stories that he had to tell, martial arts wise or non-martial arts wise, I thought that he needed to be documented. His words needed to be documented for posterity. That he had a perspective that is very lacking in this world, or a lot of people take for granted, or a lot of people don't understand that it exists. And I thought of different ways to do this, YouTube videos or maybe a book or something, but I settled on podcasts because I started thinking about the other people in the martial arts community that I've come in contact with that aren't very Googleable, but I think have some pretty interesting stories and some pretty interesting skill sets that the world needs to know about. And so I just kind of want to promote martial artists, not necessarily martial arts, but the people that are behind the black belt or the master robe or what have you.
Yes, sir. All right, Sifu. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got into martial arts?
Okay, sure. I guess it was about 2007. I'd always been kind of a gym rat. I lifted weights and worked out for a lot of years, started in college, but I really didn't have an outlet for the, I guess, attributes I was building. And at the same time, I was watching a lot of MMA, a lot of the Pride FC fights, and I really admired the skill set, and it looked like something fun to do. So I actually started hitting the bag in my basement and kind of taught myself the basic boxing strikes. And in 2008, I happened to go to the Arnold Classic in Columbus, and that's when they had the martial arts festival alongside the bodybuilding stuff in the same arena, just on the other side of the curtain. And I went over there and watched a lot of martial arts activities and competitions and stuff. And I just decided to pull the trigger and find a place that was near me. And I called and made an appointment and spoke with my now Sifu master, John Lambert. And I guess the rest is history.
Nice. In addition to Shaolin Wing Chun, you have trained in the Filipino martial art Balintawak. It has a small but dedicated group of followers and is not super well known. So can you tell us more about Balintawak and its place in the martial arts world? And in your experience, how does Balintawak fit in with Wing Chun?
Yeah, sure. Hopefully I'll have some more experienced representatives of that art on the podcast to elaborate further. But yeah, I mean, Balintawak, it's actually got a worldwide following. I think it's, from my impression, it's a lot of small groups in a lot of different places all over the U.S. and internationally. Balintawak is it's a kind of a subset of the Filipino stick fighting arts, which most people know the terms maybe Eskrima or Arnes or Kali. And this art was created as a single stick rather than a double stick fighting art. So you could use the empty hand to parry or defend, or maybe even hold another weapon like an edge weapon, like a knife or shorter stick or something of that nature. And I can't remember the rest of your question. You wanted me to talk about
Balintawak? Yes, sir. I've had brief conversations with you where you mentioned that it fits in really well with Wing Chun. Okay. So I just wanted you to talk about how it fits in with what you do.
Okay, so yeah, if you you look at Filipino stick fighting arts, they typically have 3 ranges they work in: largo, medio, and corto, and those are long, medium, and short range, and that's pretty much exactly what we do too. We have long range, short range, trapping range, and medium range, which is for us is trapping range, and then short range, which is like clinch range, grappling range, that kind of thing. If you look at the way most of the Filipino martial artists move, there's a fluidity that is very similar to Chinese martial arts. And a lot of the techniques that I've experienced from my instructors or kuyas, or big brothers in the Filipino martial arts, they have similar techniques, similar flow, similar, I guess, tactics, maybe strategies. To me, the guy I trained with, my kuya, Wilmer, we had the same instructor, the late Grandmaster George Pennifield. To me, he's a Wing Chun guy and doesn't know it. When we talk about Wing Chun, we talk about bridging a lot, sticking a lot. And when I practice the Filipino arts, it's very intensive as far as bridging skill. I'm not going to say there's not any, but we don't do a lot of the sticking skill per se, because that stick, the weapon, it's ballistic in nature. So it's a, on-off energy, but the bridging is there. And the closer you get in, the smaller the movements have to become. So those are the similarities I see between the two arts.
Yes, sir. Sir, it's interesting. So our Kwoon has grown exponentially this year. We find ourselves growing more and more diverse and having a larger mix of men and women. So I just wonder, what is your take on the differences of teaching men and women, if any, and also people of different backgrounds?
Yeah, that's a good point. The difference between teaching men and women, Well, I mean, I guess culturally, I want to make sure that I am not doing anything that can be considered inappropriate with female students, women students. Um, it's martial arts is there's a lot of physical contact. So a lot of times, especially if it's a newer student, I'll ask permission if I can put my hands on them and stuff like that. Whereas maybe if it's a guy, and maybe it's that it's not right to take it for granted, but if it's a guy, I'll make adjustments and corrections and put my hand on his shoulder, whatever the case may be. So it's just a mindfulness for me to try to be as respectful as possible. Um, Really, and that's the main thing. If a student comes into my class, into our Quoon, I tell them, there's no. Uh, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter. Your religion doesn't matter. Your gender doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is that you are willing to empty your cup and accept the lessons of self-improvement and um, be accepting that our vehicle is martial arts. So um, we're training to be warriors, right? So I don't see somebody that lives in a nice part of town versus a poor part of town. I don't see a woman versus a man, or even a teenager versus an adult. I want to teach, 14 and up. So those high schoolers, I just see them as adults in training, and we all should be warriors. So that's pretty much how I look at it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I have similar feelings. Like when we have a new female student, like I want them to feel comfortable. So it's the same thing. Like sometimes it's like when we're doing contact stuff, it's hard for me at first, or I'll be like, "Is this
Right.
okay?" Like, because we want everyone to feel comfortable. We want them to come back.
Yeah. And I actually I was doing some investigative work of trying to find some gyms we could cross train at, and just to get some extra sparring practice or different energies from people that spar. And I visited this MMA gym. Probably try to have this guy on the podcast, Coach Jeremy Pender, I believe his name was, at
Mm-hmm.
Vision MMA Cincinnati. And so I just happened to mention the makeup of our school, and he thought that was a really positive sign. I guess in his experience, a lot of school owners or gym owners maybe try to take advantage of female members and not a good way. I guess unfortunately that's more prevalent than I had imagined. So
That is unfortunate.
yeah.
I love how diverse our class is, and as it grows, it gets more diverse, and like it's like this group of people that maybe wouldn't have interacted, and like now they're like family to me. And
Right.
it's
Yeah,
great.
that's what it's all about.
Okay, so you took a big leap of faith this year with taking this on full time, and I already know firsthand some of the challenges you've faced in doing so. I'm sure there are more that I don't know of. So I just want you to talk about what keeps you motivated to keep going. Why martial arts, and what has it given you that you hope to impart to others?
Well, when I started martial arts, I was kind of in a bad headspace. So I was 35 years old. Um, I grew up in this generation that said, you go to college and you pick some degree that's, I don't know, like acceptable or common, and then you get out of school and you make a lot of money and this and that. And that really never materialized for me for whatever reason. And I had pretty negative relationships in the workplace. I mean, not all negative, but enough to where it wasn't healthy for anybody. And I just didn't understand why everybody was so stupid. Like, I'm doing my job. I've always been a hard worker. If there was a task in front of me that I set my mind to, and I felt like I was doing everything I was supposed to do. Everybody else is stupid, and I don't get it, and that was very frustrating. And I hate to. I don't want to get too negative or too dark, but I can imagine that's kind of the mindset that a lot of these mass shooter types have. They feel kind of self-righteous, kind of apart from the world. They don't um, have empathy for people that they have conflicts with, or people that are different than them, and so I think that's probably a problem that affects a lot of people in a lot worse ways. But the point was, like, I was not doing good mentally, and after I started training martial arts, it became evident, especially because we have a big Zen uh, philosophy thread that runs through the art, that I was the problem, that the issue was with me. Um, in the art, we have a saying that attachments create illusions and illusions create suffering. So I was suffering for my own illusion. I failed to see um, what people, certain people at work needed from me. I was attached to my own um, value system, so to speak, too much. I was attached to the image of myself that I had. And martial arts also taught me that the only thing that's constant is change. You have to adapt to change in an instant, in a fraction of a second. And at that time in the workplace, I wasn't adapting. I wasn't really putting myself in the other guy's shoes. I wasn't living in the moment to see what my coworkers or boss needed from me. I might be too proud to ask for help. I might be too single-minded trying to finish one task when some team needs needs me to do different things that have more of a priority. And so, yeah, martial arts really opened my eyes and made me realize that, yes, whatever problems I have, I am pretty much the root cause of that. And after I realized that, incrementally, my relationships at work started getting better. I got to say, the way I dealt with conflict in my household changed. I started just getting gradually better and better positions in the workplace, better opportunities, and that's what I want to give people. I want to give them the tools to understand that they can control the majority of their reality if they want to.
Yes, sir. All right. So, from the bit that I know about your childhood and from talking with Simo, I know that you were the victim of a lot of bullying and racism as a kid. If you could teach your younger self a martial arts lesson, what would it be? Would you go more of the tiger side and teach yourself to fight, or would you go more of the dragon side and counsel wisdom?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I would probably go more tiger side. I was a smart kid. So I think I had a lot of dragon. I had a good value system. But I want to take that back a little bit. I think the dragon part I would try to teach myself would be more the confidence. And then, I would definitely teach myself, a little more tiger, just to be able to handle myself, I guess. And when I say tiger, I don't necessarily mean how to fight with my hands or feet or something, but tiger as in maybe being more assertive verbally, or putting on an air of confidence, I guess.
Basically just taking up for yourself a little more,
Right.
kind of thing.
Right. Not, or maybe not, appearing, or not appearing, but maybe being more able to dismiss, certain comments or like name calling and stuff like that, just to be stronger, I guess, in that regard. But then, I would definitely teach myself that it's actually okay to stick up for yourself. I mean, I think a lot of parents aren't going to want to hear this, but like when you're a little kid, the best way to stop bullying, if your kid's being bullied, is for your kid to just like punch that person in the nose. I mean, that's going to cut a lot of stuff out real quick.
Well, most of the time that bully is bullying someone because they're scared.
Yeah. Well, or they've been abused in some part of their life, so they're taking it out on you. But, I think, you gotta kind of nip stuff in the bud, and if you stand up to bullies, you're gonna be less likely to be bullied. And you can, you probably know as well as I do, a lot of times when you get into a altercation, I mean, a lot of times you end up becoming friends with that person, because being in a fight is a very, very intimate thing. I can't say that's ever happened to me in a real life physical conflict, but I know, that happens. And I think especially if somebody did have, the confidence paired with, whatever empathy that they had, that's a very logical outcome. So I guess a mixture of the tiger and the dragon. I just didn't. Well, I was raised to be very afraid of consequences as far as adult type consequences. I was always scared of getting in trouble from adults, and so I feared that. I wasn't really afraid of bullies. I was afraid of the consequences that the adults would have. And so then, I was kind of taken advantage of by bullies, and afraid to stick up for myself at some pretty key times. So that's what I would change.
Sure. I do have a little bit of a follow-up question to that. Like I didn't have this down, but kind of your response made me think about it. So you said like as a kid, you did have a pretty strong dragon. But at the period when you started martial arts, you were in a pretty bad headspace, and could be argued that you maybe lost a handle on your dragon side.
Yeah.
Is there like some reason you think that changed, or is there something that changed that for you?
I think it did happen over time. I mean, once I became an adult and I didn't really have, a goal, like, you spend 13 or more years of your life, working towards something in school. And so when school was over, I was just kind of lost, and I just kind of had the idea of what I guess adults were supposed to do, and all that kind of thing was just, I just probably had some illusions there, and didn't really understand the way the world worked. I feel like I was, kind of just, I guess, a late bloomer in that department, right? How to adult good, I guess. And that's probably what happened.
I can certainly understand that. I mean, like, no one like teaches you how to be an adult,
Yeah.
Like you, I mean, your parents and your upbringing can help point you in the right direction, but you get out of high school and you're kind of just thrown into the world, and you have to figure that out for yourself. So I can definitely understand that. So sir, that is all that I've got for you today. I do want to say a few things about my experience with you. That I want you and the listeners to know that you and Simu you and Simo have influenced my life profoundly. I've learned and continue to learn countless lessons on both the tiger and dragon side of martial arts and just life in general. You've helped me learn to cope with depression and anxiety, and have taught me how to harmonize with the world around me rather than fighting it. I would almost go as far to say that like my anxiety has kind of been cured in a sense. Like don't get me wrong, it's still there and I definitely slip sometimes, but like I've learned to just acknowledge it and move on, rather than letting it control me. I control it now. And it really just took the change in my way of thinking that you helped facilitate, and I appreciate it so much. I'm not necessarily trying to say that anyone can just cure their anxiety with martial arts, but I'm just saying like what it did for me. You've helped show me that I'm stronger than I ever could have imagined, and like I have a long way to go, but I truly don't know that where I'd be without you. I do take a lot of stock in the Kung Fu family. Sifu translates to teacher/father, and I certainly see you that way. It is an absolute honor to be a part of this with you, and I look forward to learning from you and training with you for years to come. So I guess that's really all that I have.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that's what it's all about. I'm glad you're getting that. You got these benefits from the art. You're getting these benefits from the art. That is so satisfying to know that what I am endeavoring to do is making a difference, at least for one person. And then, yeah, if I can make a difference for you, then you can make a difference for someone else. And that's, to me, that's the way I want to change the world. All right. A lot of people have like these grand ideas of, I'm going to get famous, or, and reach a lot of people at one time, or I'm going to, make all this money or whatnot. And I just want to make a difference to people in my periphery. And then if they make a difference to people in their circles and so on and so forth, then I can go to the next world satisfied.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So yeah, that is all that I have. I guess we should just end it with anything you might want to plug. How can anyone interested in learning your version of martial arts get in touch with you?
www.redtigerselfdefense.com is the best way. You can look up Red Tiger Martial Arts on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. That's the picture of the red tiger. All our social links are on the website as well. So yeah, if you're interested in learning some traditional Chinese martial arts with a focus on Wing Chun, we're the place to come.